Hello, you lovely people. In our last video, we already covered the full kit of Lauma. If you have not checked it out yet, I highly recommend you to watch that video to learn about her full kit and constellations. As for today's video, we will discuss the full kit of Flins, his constellations, and 9 new weapons coming in version 6.0. So, as always, without any useless promotions, let's get right into the video. Flins is the new 5-star Electro Polearm user coming in version 6.0. He will be the first tall male character introduced in this version. As for his kit, you can say it is quite an interesting and unique one. His normal attack performs up to 5 consecutive spear strikes. His charged attack consumes a certain amount of stamina to perform a forward spear throw. And with his plunging attack, he plunges from mid-air to strike the ground below, damaging opponents along the path and dealing AoE damage upon impact. At level 9, his normal attack scales something like this. His normal attack sequence deals 5 consecutive strikes with progressively increasing damage. The initial strike inflicts 82.2% damage, followed by 82.9% on the second hit and 102.7% on the third. The fourth hit delivers 2 rapid slashes at 58.9% damage each, while the fifth strike concludes the combo with a heavy 141.1% damage. His charged attack consumes 25 stamina to unleash a single strike, dealing 189.3% damage. And his standard plunge impact deals 117.5% AoE damage, where low plunge inflicts 235% damage, while high plunge deals 293% damage upon landing. As for his elemental skill, it's called Ancient Rite Arcane Light. During his elemental skill, Flynn summons forth the ancient power concealed within his lamp and switches to his manifest flame form. With this form, Flynn's normal and charged attacks deal electro damage that cannot be overridden by other elemental infusions, and he is unable to perform plunging attacks. And while in this form, his elemental skill is replaced with a special elemental skill called Northland Spearstorm. Northland Spearstorm is when Flynn summons a flurry of spears in front, dealing AoE electro damage and causing his elemental burst to be replaced with a special elemental burst Thunderous Symphony for the next 6 seconds. This Thunderous Symphony consumes less elemental energy to unleash a special elemental burst. With Thunderous Symphony, Flynn deals a single instance of AoE electro damage. This damage is considered lunar charged damage. And the base cooldown of Northland Spearstorm lasts for 6 seconds and will not be affected by other effects. At level 9, his elemental burst scales something like this. During his elemental skill, he performs up to 5 consecutive spear strikes. The first hit deals 99% damage, followed by 100% damage on the second. The third hit delivers 123.8% damage. The fourth hit strikes twice, each dealing 70.9% damage. And his fifth hit deals 170% damage. His charged attack consumes stamina and deals 195.4% damage. His Northland Spearstorm deals 303.3% damage and can be used once every 6.0 seconds, while Manifest Flame lingers for 10.0 seconds. This skill has a cooldown of 16.0 seconds. Now, let's take a look at his Elemental Burst. During his Elemental Burst, Flynn unleashes the true power of his lamp, dealing AoE electro damage and, after a short delay, dealing 3 further instances of AoE electro damage that are considered lunar charged damage. After using his Elemental Burst, he also gains Moon Sign Ascendant Gleam. With this Moon Sign Ascendant Gleam, if there are thunderclouds nearby, Flynn will deal an additional 2 instances of lunar-charged AoE electro damage. After using the special elemental skill Northland Spearstorm, Flynn's elemental burst will be replaced with the special elemental burst Thunderous Symphony for the next 6 seconds. While in the Thunderous Symphony stage, he will consume less elemental energy to unleash a special elemental burst. And he also deals a single instance of AoE electro damage that is considered lunar charged damage. At level 9, his elemental burst scales something like this. The initial skill deals 441.7% damage instantly. During its duration, Each lunar charged phase deals 44.2% damage, with the final phase delivering a powerful 220.9% damage. His elemental skill costs 70 energy and has a cooldown of 18.0 seconds. Also, the thunderous symphony he uses during his elemental burst deals 132.5% damage, with an additional burst of 198.8% damage with a cost of 30 energy. Now, let's take a look at his passive skills. So his first passive skill is called Symphony of Winter. With this passive skill, Flins will gain a corresponding buff effect based on the party's moon sign. Like if the party's moon sign is Ascendant Gleam, the lunar charged reactions triggered by Flins will deal an additional 20% damage. His second passive skill is called Whispering Flame. This passive skill increases Flins's elemental mastery by 8% of his attack. And the maximum increase obtainable this way is 160. His third passive skill is called Moon Sign Benediction Old World Secrets. With this passive skill, when a party member triggers an electro-charged reaction, it will be converted into the lunar charged reaction. With every 100 attacks that Flins has, increases the lunar charged base damage by 0.7%, up to a maximum of 14%. Additionally, when Flins is in the party's moon sign will increase by 1 level. And his last passive skill is called A Light in the Dark. This passive skill displays the location of nearby resources unique to nodkrai on the minimap. Additionally, Flins can decipher the whispers of the wild hunt with this passive skill as well. Now, let's take a look at his constellations. With his C1, the cooldown of the special elemental skill is reduced to 4 seconds. Additionally, when party members trigger lunar charged reactions, Flins will recover 7 elemental energy. And this effect can occur once every 5.5 seconds. With his C2, after using his special elemental skill for the next 6 seconds, when Flins's next normal attack hits an opponent, it will deal an additional 50% of Flins's attack as AoE electro damage. And this damage is considered lunar charged damage. This constellation will also give Flins Moon Sign Ascendant Gleam. With Moon Sign Ascendant Gleam while Flins is on the field and his electro attacks hit an opponent, that opponent's electro resistance will be decreased by 25% for 7 seconds. His C3 and C5 do the same as others. With his C4, Flins's attack is increased by 20%. Additionally, his passive talent, Whispering Flame, is also enhanced, and Flins's elemental mastery is increased by 10% of his attack. The maximum increase obtainable this way is 220. With this C6, the damage dealt to opponents by Flins's lunar charged reactions is elevated by 30%. He also gains Moon Sign Ascendant Gleam, where all party members' lunar charged damage is elevated by 10%. And that was everything about Flins. What do you guys think about his kit? Comment down below, and let me know what you think about his kit so far. Now, let's get started with the 9 new weapons we will be getting in version 6.0. First, let's start with the signature weapon of Flins. So, his signature weapon is called Blood-Soaked Ruins. This polearm has a base attack of 674 and a crit rate of 22.1% at level 90. The passive skill of this weapon is something like this. For 3.5 seconds after using an elemental burst, character's lunar charged damage is increased by 36%. For 6 seconds after triggering lunar charged, character's crit damage is increased by 28% and they regain 12 elemental energy. Elemental energy can be restored this way once every 14 seconds. At R5, the lunar charged damage is increased by 84%, crit damage is increased by 56%, and the elemental energy is increased by 16 instead of 12. As for our second weapon, we have the signature weapon of Lauma, and it's called Nightweaver's Looking Glass. This catalyst has a base attack of 542 and provides 265 elemental mastery at level 90. The passive skill grants special effects based on certain combat triggers like, when a nearby character triggers Lunar Bloom, the character will gain the Waxing Moon effect. With this effect, character's elemental mastery is increased by 60 for 10 seconds. When dealing damage with a Dendro or Hydro elemental skill, gain the Waning Moon effect. With this effect, character's elemental mastery is increased by 60 for 4.5 seconds. When both the waxing moon and waning moon effects are present, the character will gain the lunar cycle effect. And this effect will increase all party members' bloom damage by 120%, their hyper bloom and burgeon damage by 80%, and their lunar bloom damage by 40%. This effect cannot be stacked. Now, let's take a look at the 4 stars we will have in this version. First, we have a sword called Serenity's Call. This sword has a base attack of 454 and provides 61.3% energy recharge at level 90. At Refinement Rank 1, upon triggering an elemental reaction, the wielder's max HP is increased by 16% for 12 seconds. While under the Moon Sign Ascendant Gleam effect, this bonus max HP is increased by an additional 16%. This effect can be triggered even when the character is off-field. At R5, the max HP increases by 32% in both cases. Next, we have another sword called Moonweaver's Dawn. This sword has a base attack of 565 and provides 27.6% attack at level 90. And the passive skill of this sword increases elemental burst damage by 20%. If the character's max energy capacity is above 40, but not higher than 60, elemental burst damage is further increased by 16%. If their max energy is 40 or lower, the bonus is instead increased by 28%. At R5, the elemental burst damage increases by 40%. When the character's max energy capacity is above 40, but not above 60, elemental burst damage is further increased by 32%. And when the character's max energy capacity is not above 40, elemental burst damage can be increased by a further 56%. Next, the weapon we have is called the Master Key. This claymore has a base attack of 454 and provides 61.3% energy recharge at level 90. With the passive skill of this claymore, upon triggering an elemental reaction, the wielder's elemental mastery is increased by 60 for 12 seconds. And while under the Moon Sign Ascendant Gleam effect, this bonus elemental mastery is further increased by 60. This effect can be triggered even if the equipping character is off-field. At R5, the elemental mastery is increased by 120 in both cases instead of 60. Next, we have a polearm called Prospector's Shovel. This polearm has a base attack of 510 and provides 41.3% attack at level 90. The passive skill of this polearm increases electrocharge damage by 48% and lunar charge damage by 12%. And while under the Moon Sign Ascendant Gleam effect, lunar charge damage is increased by an additional 12%. At R5, the electrocharge damage is increased by 96%, lunar charge damage is increased by 24%, and Ascendant Gleam lunar charge damage is increased by 24%. Next, we have a catalyst called Lightweaver's Lyre. This catalyst has a base attack of 510 and provides 165 elemental mastery at level 90. With the passive skill of this weapon, when the wielder uses an elemental skill, a note will be played, increasing their elemental mastery by 120 for 20 seconds. At R5, the elemental mastery increases by 240 for 20 seconds. Next, we have another catalyst called Black Marrow Lantern. This catalyst has a base attack of 454 and provides 221 elemental mastery at level 90. And its passive skill increases bloom damage by 48% and lunar bloom damage by 12%. Also, while under the Moon Sign Ascendant Gleam effect, lunar bloom damage is increased by an additional 12%. At R5, the bloom damage is increased by 96%, lunar bloom damage is increased by 24%, and the Moon Sign Ascendant Gleam effect, lunar bloom damage is increased by an additional 24%. Lastly, we have a bow called Snare Hook. This bow has a base attack of 454 and provides 61.3% energy recharge at level 90. With the passive skill of this bow upon triggering an elemental reaction, the wielder's elemental mastery is increased by 60 for 12 seconds. While under the Moon Sign Ascendant Gleam effect, this elemental mastery bonus is further increased by 60. And this effect can be triggered even when the character is off-field. Adder 5, the elemental mastery is increased by 120 for both cases. And that's it. That was everything for this video. In our next video, I will discuss the first Hydro Claymore character we're gonna get in the next version. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on that video.